Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan and this is Viking Designs. Okay, so today we're talking the Bosch 18 volt 305 compound miter saw, or for its official name. Now this saw can be picked up for $13.99 at Total Tools, which is one of the suppliers here in Australia. Now for $13.99, you're getting the skin only. That doesn't come with any batteries or anything like that. And this is an 18 volt saw, so you're gonna need to get yourself some batteries. So you're talking $13.99 plus the cost of a battery. I would recommend grabbing one or two of these 18 volt 12 amp Procore batteries. I think that's what they recommend to put on the 305. So when I bought my saw, I actually got the battery for free via redemption, so there wasn't that extra outlay. But if there isn't a special or some sort of redemption type thing running at the time of purchase, you may also be up for a battery. Just something to keep in mind. Now you can pick up the Bosch 305 corded version for about $50 cheaper, and you don't have to worry about the batteries. I kind of wanted to get everything onto the batteries, so I went the 18 volt route. All right, so let's start with the numbers. This saw takes a 12-inch 305mm blade. You can adjust the miters to 52 degrees on the left and 60 degrees on the right. And for your bevel, you can cut 47 degrees on the left and 47 degrees on the right. Now, this thing is running one of Bosch's bi-turbo motors, which means it gives you 2000 watts of power, all from a single 18 volt battery. Now, it says this thing weighs 26.9 kilograms, which is also something I like to keep in mind when purchasing a tool of this size. The weight definitely does play a big role. So yeah, this thing is not light at all, especially with the 12 amp battery on top of it. Yeah, 26.9 kilos. It's coming in at skin only. The defining feature for me of this saw is that glide arm. It really is unlike any other miter saw that I've used. It is super smooth when operating it, like it's buttery. It's really nice. It also saves you a lot of space. If you're in a workshop, you can push the saw right up against the wall and you don't have that arm extending back and forth like a normal miter saw. So that's a really cool feature too. Now, another feature of this saw that stands out is the LED screen that is up near the trigger. You can control variable speeds via this little LED screen. Now, this little LED screen will tell you your battery life. It'll also let you pick variable speeds, and you can also select eco mode. I don't think there's a lot of other manufacturers doing that, so yeah, thumbs up to Bosch on that one. Now, you connect this saw to Bluetooth using your phone. Basically, once you get it out of the box, you pop the battery into the saw. All you gotta do is load up the app on your phone, pull the trigger, and it'll automatically register your tool. So you don't have to stuff around with that. That's gonna get you your 6-year warranty. Now, once you have the saw connected via Bluetooth, you then have the ability to go in and customize your RPMs. So you have a bunch of different numbers and you can assign different RPMs to these numbers. If you're cutting timber, you wanna keep your RPMs up super high, but if you're cutting something like composite timber or aluminium, you want to bring those RPMs down. So you go into your phone, you can register it to say number 3 will have your lower RPMs, and then next time you're doing a composite deck, you select number 3 on the LED screen, and that'll bring those RPMs down, giving you longer life on your blade. So when you do want to adjust your RPM and save it onto a certain number, Bosch recommends going 3000 RPM if you're cutting aluminium, 3500 RPM if you're cutting PVC decking, composite decking, and you want to keep it on 4,000 RPM if you're cutting timber. Now, at first, I kind of did think this was a little gimmicky when I first heard about, you know, Bluetoothing my saw to my phone. I'm like, really, is that necessary? But it's actually pretty useful. I mean, we do a lot of composite decking these days. By knocking those RPMs down, it is extending the life of the blade. And the blade on a 305 isn't cheap, so yeah, it actually is a pretty handy feature to have. Alright, so now let's talk about my likes and my dislikes. My likes is that glide arm it's so good. It's so good, man. Once you use that glide arm, like, you won't want to go back to just like a normal saw. It's just so buttery smooth. It's hard to explain, man. You guys, power is super impressive, all coming from one 18-volt battery, so the power is very impressive on this thing. The runtime is also quite impressive. Once again, I was using a new blade, new battery, so I was pretty much getting the best of the best. Surely once I get a duller blade with an older battery, these runtimes aren't going to be as impressive, but straight out of the box, I got like a full day framing up a deck and didn't even change the battery. Actually, I got a day and a half out of the 12 amp battery when we were just cutting some treated pine for a deck we were doing. When cutting in this old recycled hardwood pergola, I think it lasted about 6-7 hours, but that is some super hard timber, so you're going to expect lesser run times with that. The build quality so far is so good. Yeah, Bosch, I feel like Bosch have really nailed it with this. Everything feels super high quality. There's no cheap plasticky parts. I've been throwing it in and out of the back of my ute for a few months now, and everything is just as how it was when I got it out of the box. So yeah, I can't really fault the build quality at all at this point. Ask me again in like a year or two. The accuracy out of the box is spot on. I've been making kitchen doors. Yeah, the accuracy is bang on at this point. I haven't had to adjust it at all. The adjustable speed is a like for me. It's not something I thought I would really give a shit about, but turns out I do. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool feature. And another like for me is the fact that it all runs on one battery. The last thing I want to be doing is putting two batteries into a miter saw. I mean, batteries are not cheap, and I don't want to have 4 of them on rotation. Having 2 of them on rotation seems to get us unlimited work time. So yeah, the fact that it runs on one battery is a massive plus for me as well. Now for the dislikes of this thing. I guess the biggest dislike for this would probably be the weight, coming in at like 27 kilos. If you're moving this thing in and out of your car every single day, it does get heavy. Another thing I'm not over the moon about is the laser line. When you're cutting your timber, kind of got 2 lasers on the left and the right hand side of the blade, and I don't know, I don't feel like, I kind of just like a shadow line or something that shows me exactly where the blade is cutting, whereas this is a laser on either side of the blade. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. The other thing is it doesn't have any capability to hook it up to 240 volts or 110 volts depending on where you live. If this saw had that capability, that would be amazing. So as fascinating as numbers are, let's talk real world use with this thing. Firstly, the weight is real. It's heavy. It's fucking heavy, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the lads on Oz Tool Talk spoke about setting this saw up so you could basically slide it and lift it. You're not having to lift it up and out of a toolbox. And that is exactly what I've done with mine. Actually, come on, let's go take a quick look.
Oh no!
So yeah, I've basically just created this shelf. The idea being I didn't want the saw to sit down in here because lifting it up out of this would have been an absolute pain. So this way, all I've got to do is grab a hold of the saw, slide it off, put it on the droppy stand, and then when I want to put it away, slide it back in. Now, by having the saw stored up on this little shelf, I've got some storage under here, multi-tool blades, spare saw blades, all that sort of stuff, so it's not wasted space. I keep the 2 stands for the droppy bench tucked in there, and then the saw lives on top. And that's just going to prevent any twisting and jerking of the back when you're trying to lift this bad boy out and onto the stand. Now, a really nice feature on this saw is you adjust all your bevels and miters from the front here. There's no need to reach back here and try and set your bevel or your miter. That's a really nice feature. Another thing, when unlocking your stand, your locks are all on the front. So that right there locks it onto this Bosch stand. Once again, there's no reaching over the back to try and unclip the saw. All you do, hit the red button and unlock, and the saw is now free to be picked up. Now basically anything that's red on a Bosch tool can be moved, so we know that this has a function, this has a function. You can open this up, right here, and this gives you a little bit more support. So it's red, it moves. Now, if you have a shop or a garage or a workspace and you're looking for a saw, this thing really would be perfect. It does take up minimal room compared to other 305 miter saws, so that's a definite tick. However, I used this on the site. I was warned by the guys at the tool store that maybe I should go for the smaller miter saw, but nah, I wanted the big boy, so it's what I got. I'm putting up with lugging the thing around, and you know what? I actually don't care. The performance that this saw gives me, how accurate it is, how powerful it is, how convenient it is that it's just run on a single battery, that kind of washes away any drama that I would have with the weight of it. As heavy as it is, I just live with it, and if I had to go back, I would purchase it again in a heartbeat. It is accurate, it's powerful, and if it had a 240 volt adapter, mate, it would probably be the perfect saw. So for my final thoughts, if you're in the market for a quality miter saw and you don't mind lugging it around, you don't mind the weight, then I could not recommend this thing highly enough. It is as close to perfect as I've ever come across on a miter saw, and yeah, if it got stolen, I would definitely buy it again. I hope this video has given you guys a little bit of insight on what it's like having this saw. Let me know what you're using in the comments below. I'd love to hear, I'd love to have a chat. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.